guys, my name is ZC Extreme, and we are live to you at PAX East 2025 or whatever we are. Okay, let's ask these guys. This is my friend Greg, and he's part of
Bioshop Infinite.
Yes, Bioshop.
Let's all just say it at different times. Ready? Bioshop Infinite.
Bioshop Infinite.
Yeah.
With a P. Bioshop Infinite.
Bioshop Infinite, guys. With Bioshock, you know the game Bioshop Infinite. It was a good game.
You're the barbershop quartet from that game.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's cosplaying as Bioshop, the barbershop court. I don't even know. Okay, okay. So I want to ask you guys, what's your personal opinions on the Switch 2? Are any of you guys going to get it?
I think the Switch 2 is complicated. I think the price of the console is fine. I think what's going to be very tricky for consumers is $80 games. Games are very expensive to develop. However, games were $60 for quite some time. Because games are so expensive to make, they are going to be expensive to buy, and I'm afraid of some sticker shock from consumers. Perhaps people cannot spend $80. $80 is a lot of money. But games are expensive to make, so I think it's going to be tricky.
Personally, I held off on getting the Switch 1 for a very long time. So I've been waiting for the Switch 2, so I actually did manage to get my pre-order in. So I'm going to go back and play all the old games from Switch 1. The only Switch 2 games I'm really looking forward to is Metroid Prime 4. But yeah, so even though I agree that it's going to be tough with the higher price, those games, because of their exclusivity, that's why you got to get it. It kind of feels bad, but
Because of like inflation and stuff happening right now in this country, in this world.
Pretty indifferent, I suppose. I mean, like, my Switch 1 has been good to me over the last few years. I mean, like, I pay yearly for access to all the N64 games and the SNES games, and I mostly just play retro games lately. I mean, like, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was like all I ever needed for like a giant new game, and the Switch can hold it fine. Right now, I'm literally replaying Mario 64. That's what I do. Yes. I recently replayed Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past. I only care about old games. So, like, as far as the Switch 2 is concerned, like, I don't know. I'm very frugal with my money, so unless I really, really want it, I'm probably not going to get it.
So like Greg, I think it's pretty complicated. I understand that development of hardware and games is getting more expensive all the time. So I understand that sometimes needs to reflect in a price increase. But I'm concerned there's going to be a lot of people and families that are priced out of being able to play games. $80 games is a large jump from $60. And also what I've heard, I'm sorry if I'm wrong about this, but I heard that the physical games are going to be $90. And I think that is, to put an extra premium on the physical is also a difficult choice that I don't agree with. And in addition to that, I've heard that the majority of their physical games, not all of them, but a lot of them are just going to be like key cards. So like the cartridge is not actually going to hold the game, it's just going to give you a download, but you're going to need that cartridge for you to have to pay $10 extra to get something that is locking you out of whether or not you can play your digital download game seems to me an absurd practice. And I love a lot of what Nintendo does in terms of their creative games, but I think their business practices are a little bit questionable, and I think this is a primary one. And I do believe that if they don't make an amendment to either the price of their games or this idea of not having the games on the physical cards, I think they're going to lose an absurd amount of money. For one, I've been a big Nintendo fan for a long time. I love my Switch. I am not going to buy a Switch 2 with it being the way that it is. I think that I like physical media. I like have my games on the card. If I was going to buy a game card for $90 to have it just allow me to get my access to my digital download, I will just no longer give any money to Nintendo. And that's how I feel as a Nintendo fan. And I think I'm not alone. So I hope Nintendo reconsiders this idea a little bit.
Yeah, Switch 2. I think a lot of the criticisms and arguments against it are valid. However, I do think that the Xbox and Microsoft has been doing these industry practices for a while. So while I don't think that people are necessarily wrong about it, I think that they aren't necessarily, making the most informed opinions or anything. But I'm a man of the people. I think that, I agree. Stick it to the man. Nintendo, what's wrong, man? Why? Just talk to us. Go to some therapy. Come back to us. You know, we'll fix. Yeah, give us answers. You know, we're all friends here. You've been with us since the beginning. Love you.
And what is your name and who are you dressed as for PAX East?
My name is Sammy. I'm dressed as Ronnie the Witch from Elden Ring.
Ooh, Elden Ring. I haven't played that game in like a few years because that game's hard. Oh no. Okay, like the game that you die like within one blow. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay, just to remind myself, like, okay, your personal opinions on Switch 2 and banter.
On the Switch 2. I'm sad because I just bought an OLED. So of course with the Switch 2 announcement, now I'm gonna have to save up my pennies and hopefully get the Switch 2. But yeah, it is what it is. It's Nintendo. We love them.
And your opinions on like $80 games and it going up in price like $450 or $500.
Oh, honey, I'm a broke bitch. I cannot afford that. So I'm gonna have to save my pennies. Yeah, it would be nice if it was a little bit more affordable, but you know, we do what we do.
What is your name and what are you dressed as?
I'm Dan, and I'm dressed as James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2. I haven't played that game yet.
It's very good. The remake did it justice. Like, perfect remake.
Ooh, nice. Oh, and so the question is like, or your personal opinions on the Switch 2, and you can banter. Oh, you can.
I feel like it's I thought the price was a little bit of contempt with some people. I feel like price-wise isn't too bad. I understand the products, like all the attachments or extra like parts going up is a little bit of a way to stay away from maybe, or just see how it goes at launch, because I know there's not too many like first-party launch games, mainly just Mario Kart and I think like Cyberpunk and other games like that. So I think for some people maybe wait out a little bit and just see when the games come through and just get a good idea of the text, like the tech specs and all that, see what it can fully handle. Because I definitely feel like it's one of those ones that's going to take a little bit to like really start popping off with the games and all that. But I feel like once like Metroid Prime or something like that comes out, it might be more worth it for the exclusives. But console price-wise, I don't think it's too bad. Still cheaper than like an Xbox or PlayStation, especially now that those prices went up a little bit too. But overall, I feel like not too bad.
And you already know, like the Xbox increased all their prices too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I heard it went up by like $100 for the consoles, and other things were like around $80-ish extra. Sad to see, but somewhat expected now with how everything's been going along. Definitely feel like you're going to see a lot of that, especially with like games now starting to. Now Xbox has jumped on with the $80 games kind of towards the the winter time or main launch season for a lot of games. That's probably going to be the worst bit of it, is just knowing that that's probably going to be a standard for a while of $80. True. But hopefully some games I still see big titles are staying at least at 70 or even below. But hopefully a lot of games kind of trend that way. But as of right now, it definitely seems like it's going to be staying towards that 80.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully our pay goes up too.
Oh no, hopefully. That's all I can pray for, is my pay goes up. Just definitely trying to figure out what games to get. Especially with that, you're going to have to really pick and choose instead of just getting any game that comes out.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no, definitely need a good answer for why it's all jumping up so fast.
Hello, what's your name?
Ryan. My name is Ryan.
Ryan, and you're cosplaying as a Red Bull sponsor.
No, not officially.
Okay. So let me ask you, Ryan, like your personal opinions on Switch 2, and what do you think? And what do you think about $80 games, and what do you think about like it going up in price and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. I think it's a pretty high entry point, especially if you consider the pricing of the first Switch, especially with the games costing more. I guess it makes sense from Nintendo's perspective because I think people are going to buy it anyways, but I'm not necessarily thinking that the cost is worth it. So personally, I'm probably going to wait till it comes down or I save up for it. So yeah.
Yep. Same with you. Same. I agree there. I'm gonna like pretty much wait and stuff. And also, like, another question is, how do you think? What do you think about Xbox following the same suit too now?
Yeah, I've always been a PlayStation guy myself, so I don't necessarily have an opinion on it because I think like they kind of fell off in the last console generation. So I think that again, if one company sets the trend, I think the rest of them are going to follow. So I wouldn't even be surprised if PlayStation ends up going down the same route.
Switch 2. It's going to be exciting. Very exciting. I think it's too high there. I keep telling people this with, games like right now, $70 price tag, $60 price tag, those are fine. But when they increase it to 80 or maybe eventually higher than that, that concerns me more where not a lot of people in this world are able to afford that much of a price there. So I'm just worried about that their sales will not be as much as what they're affecting on the prices that will, having to hold back to purchase the new games there.
Overpriced right now, not worth it at the moment. Hopefully better games will come out that are reasonably priced. Mario Kart World does not need to be $80. It is way too overpriced. There's not enough features that really stand out that make it better than like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is only $70. And it's more like a continuation of what the franchise was kind of leaning towards anyways, but not $80.
Wow. Okay, thank you again. And hey, so what are you cosplaying as?
I'm cosplaying as Jigglypuff.
Look at this, Jigglypuff, handmade costume, guys. Jigglypuff. Check it around. What's your name?
I'm Dan.
And handle.
Stan Lemons. Enforcer, 5 years.
Hell yeah.
Love y'all.
Your personal opinions on the Switch 2.
Yeah, so I think Nintendo lost the plot a little bit. Obviously the specs are great. The game rollout of the open world Mario Kart and the new DK game look awesome. But I think they're kind of getting away from what kind of makes Nintendo a little bit. Like the people who are looking to get Switch 2s over like Steam Decks and things like that, they're not going to need all that speckage and all that price tag. I think they should have been a little bit more in line with what they did with the Switch 1. But I'm probably still going to get one at the end of the day. I'm excited for it. I'm not going to get it on launch day. I'll probably give it a little extra time. But yeah, a little off the mark from Nintendo, but I mean, I'm sure it'll still be a successful generation.
Hell yeah. And your personal take, $80 games and Microsoft following the same suit.
Talk about losing the plot, man. Like, we all knew the bomb was coming with GTA 6 for like more expensive games, but like, do we need to jump that much that quick? Like, people aren't even used to 70 yet. We got to go to 80. No, not good.
It's only been like a few years.
Yeah, exactly.
We did $70, now $80.
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
Yeah. Good time to buy used, good time to buy physical. Love buying physical.
Yeah, of course. So, hello, what's your name?
My name is S-Fan.
S-Fan. You have a lot of fans?
I have a few.
Nice. Okay. So, I just want to ask, like, your quick opinions on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, quick opinions on Nintendo Switch 2.
I've been playing MMOs.
I mean, I think the Switch 2 is going to be good. I'm surprised they don't have an OLED screen. I thought they were going to have an OLED because, I mean, they already came out with the Switch with an OLED, so I think that's kind of weird. But I'm also surprised by the price point of the games and what they're expecting to do there. I do think it's going to be cool, and I think the actual, the showcase that they had that actually showed the Switch 2 was pretty good. I think a lot of people didn't like the showcase itself. I think there was a lot of small details that people didn't like, and they kind of looped that into the showcase. But I think the showcase in and of itself was pretty good, and I'm excited. I think the Switch 2 is going to be good. Yeah. I mean, I'll try and get one as soon as I can. So I missed the pre-order. So yeah.
And your personal opinion on $80 games?
I mean, I feel like it makes sense given inflation and stuff, but there's also something else to consider, and that's the fact that so it makes sense financially based on how inflation and stuff works. I mean, if a game was $60, 15 years ago versus now, I mean, I just got back from the WoW panel, right, and they've had a $15 subscription since the game came out 20 years ago, which is kind of crazy. But The other thing to consider is there's so many more people playing games today than there were back then. So you also have like a larger pool of potential customers. So, I mean, there's a lot of different factors. It's like inflation, budgets, how big the teams are. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not somebody who's like into all the financials of everything going on. Really, at the end of the day, I think the price point of a game just depends on, like there's some kind of a standard that gets set, and there's an expectation based on how much you're paying for a game. That's like the type of content you get for that price point. So yeah, I mean, I think that $80 games, ideally, like it wouldn't be a thing, but it's hard to argue against the logic of, yeah, well, if you account for inflation, it kind of makes sense that the cost of games will go up over time. But I do think there's more to it than just like inflation. There's like how many people are buying the game, and and that's an argument to keep the prices low because you have more sales. But then there's the argument of like, well, how big are the teams? How much money is going into the team actually developing it and paying for salaries and whatnot? So
It's just crazy. Fire so.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think eventually all the other like companies like Microsoft's already onto that too, and like I think I know Sony's gonna follow suit too.
Well, as soon as one person does it, everybody else kind of like they're gonna start looking over their shoulder and be like, wait, what's going on there? So I think it's very nuanced. I think there's a lot of factors. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Mugman, they like to roll the dice. By chance they came upon Devil's Game, and gosh, they paid the price. Paid the price. And now they're fighting for their lives on a mission fraught with dread. And if they proceed but don't succeed, well, the devil will take their heads.